Hello, good morning student. See, in our last lecture we complete your first chapter, that is starting third chapter of measures of central tendency statistics. Okay, so here we complete our third chapter and I told you that first and second chapter are most probably a theory chapter. First is full theory and the second one is half theory. That's why we are starting we are skipping that particular two chapters. Here third chapter is over. Your all the homework as well as your all the doubts will solve here, and now we'll start. Today we'll start with our next chapter, that is chapter number 4. Next chapter, I told you that it is fully based on chapter number 3. All the formula, see, I just repeat that particular things in chapter 3. Which formula? We show that here mean, 10 methods of mean, right? Ungrouped data, discrete group data and continuous group data. 2 direct and shortcut method, that is 6th method. 1 correct incorrect observation method, that is 7th method. Then here combined mean is 8. Then weighted mean is the 9th method and the geometric mean is the 10th method. So here in the mean 10 methods are there. Then median 6 methods, or you can say 3 methods for median: regularly, ungrouped data, discrete group data and continuous group data. But under that quartile, decile and percentile, 3 methods of these on the basis of median is also, we see that, see here ungrouped data, discrete and continuous group data of quartile, decile and percentile. We see that in chapter number 3. Again, then the next point is mode. Simple 3 methods for mode. Which 3 methods? Ungrouped, discrete and continuous group data, but it is only used in the normal situation. But if 5 extraordinary situations is given, see, I told you that particular 5 extraordinary situations. If that particular 5 situations are there, you have to use the empirical formula. Okay, so here mode of 3 regular formula and 1 formula based on these mean and median, that is empirical formula. And then short sums of mean, median and mode, right? We see all these things in chapter number 3, and on the basis of these topics we have to do our next lecture, next chapter. See, the chapter name is the chapter name of chapter number 3 is measures of central tendency. Now the chapter number 4 name is measures of dispersion. Okay, so in this chapter, that is in chapter number 4, see which topic we have to discuss. First one is range. See, it is very easy topic, because only plus or minus, that is average, and you can say plus or minus and divide you have to do in this sum, and only short sum from these will ask. That's why 2 mark sum will ask from these methods. So first point topic is range. Next topic is quartile deviation. See, this is fully based on this. If we know the quartile, that is Q1, Q2 and Q2 and Q3, then only you can see, you can ask, I can explain you this quartile deviation. So you have to remember Q1, Q2 and Q3 formula to find out the quartile deviation, because in the formula of quartile deviation you have to use Q1, Q2 and Q3, right? So here Q1, Q2 and Q3 is not given. Here they just ask find out the quartile deviation, and to find out quartile deviation you have to remember this one quartile and find out that Q1 or Q3 and then use this into this formula, right? So quartile deviation is fully based on quartile. Then the next topic is standard deviation, mean deviation. Or you can say average deviation. Right? And for that also you have to know this one. Simple 6 sums, direct shortcut method, 6 sums of mean. You have to know that particular, and then on the basis of mean you can find out mean deviation, or you can say average deviation. Okay, so here mean deviation and average deviation is your third topic. Now fourth one is standard deviation. It is also based on mean. Standard deviation is also based on mean, because the formula for standard deviation is in the formula of the standard deviation mean is used. Okay, so here again mean is an important point. First 6 method is useful here. Average, combined deviation, then combined deviation, then weighted average, weighted mean, or combined deviation, weighted mean and geometric mean. 3 topics will not use here. Only just simple mean of 6 method will use in this standard deviation topic. Okay, now the last one is here. Last topic is combined standard deviation. Combined standard deviation means what? Here combined standard deviation is fully based on combined mean and regular mean. Combined mean is used here only. Here only simple 6 method, direct or shortcut method of mean is used in standard deviation, and in combined deviation you have to use the combined mean as well as regular mean. So this chapter is fully based on this chapter, because here range it is very easy. No, only you have to use only calci, because minus, plus and divide 3 are there, so it is very easy. Then quartile deviation, mean or average deviation, standard deviation and combined deviation fully based on quartile and mean. So you have to remember all the formula. I again told you that you have to remember all the formula for chapter number 3. Okay, so here we will start our first topic. See, I told you that here 2 theories, right? Here whatever the theory portion are there, we have to discuss that theory into our regular lecture, because it is not, I think so, it is very boring. See, I told you that in account we already see that first chapter is fully theory chapter, and you all are bored in that particular theory lecture. So here again I am skipping that theory and I am directly concentrate on practical one. So directly page number 125. We are starting with directly on page number 125. See that particular one, range. See the formula for range. See here on page number 124. 4 topics are given here. We shall study the following absolute and relative measures of dispersion. Absolute or relative measures of dispersion are range, first one, then quartile deviation, then mean deviation, and then standard deviation. And on the basis of standard deviation, we have to find out combined standard deviation. This one is the extra topic. Here 4 are said that measures of dispersion. Right? Okay, and we will start with the discussing the first topic, that is range. See, I'm reading that on page number 125. The difference between the highest and the lowest observations of the data is called the range. Nothing else. See, highest data minus lowest data, that is range. What means of range? What is the range of your marks? See, you can say that, sir, my range is 70 to 80%, right? Minimum I got 70% and maximum I got at 80%. I will get 80%. Why? It is my range. I cannot afford for that also, because I am not able to do that, right? So see, you can use this particular word in your regular day-to-day program, right? So here you can say that here range is your very familiar word, right? Here highest value, difference between highest and lowest, that is your range. Range and it is denoted by symbol R. Capital R is the symbol of range, and that's why here I am writing the formula for the range. See, range highest, that is XH minus XL. Highest means what? Highest observation. X means observation, right? Highest observation minus lowest observation is equal to range. See that formula is given. Range, that is R is equal to XH minus XL. XH is equal to highest observations. XL is equal to the lowest observation. Here you have to write right? See here, first is over. Now range is an absolute measure of dispersion having same unit of measurement as that of the observation. See, but relative measures, we have to find out two measures here. First one is absolute measure and the second one is relative measure. See here, absolute measures means what? Range is absolute measure. We have to find out four absolute measures. First one is range, then quartile deviation, then standard deviation, then mean deviation, right? Four are absolute measures, and we have to also see the relative measures. What means of that? Relative measures, that is, you can say coefficient of coefficient of range, coefficient of quartile deviation, coefficient of mean deviation, and coefficient of standard deviation. That is called a relative measure. This one is the absolute measure, and you have to find out the relative measures. See here, it is obvious from the difference definition of the range that frequency does not play any role in the determining the range. If range is there, see the data, ungrouped data, discrete group data, and continuous group data. Which data is given here? There is no any difference into the formula because it is fully based on the observations, not on the frequency. What is the difference between ungrouped and group data? See, in ungrouped data, frequency is not given. In the group data, frequency is given, right? But here frequency doesn't matter because highest and lowest observation we need in range. That's why here we can say that here no any frequency, that is continuous data or group data, continuous group data or ungrouped data, it doesn't matter. We just need highest and lowest observations to find out range. So frequency is not play any role into this range. Okay, so here frequency does not matter, does not play any role in the range, determining the range. Even for group data, for any group frequency distribution, the range can be obtained as the difference between the upper limit of the highest class and interval and the lower limit of the lowest class interval. Okay, so here now if we divide the range of the data by the sum xh plus xl, we get the relative range. Relative range, here first one is your absolute measure, this one you can say it is an absolute measure. Now we have to find out the relative measure. So we have to write that coefficient, the word is coefficient of range, or the word is relative range. Any word is used here. Is equal to coefficient of range or relative range. We have a formula, and see this is, you can see it's a relative measure, right? And the formula for that is simple, xh minus xl, that is range, divided by xh plus xl. And if we know the range, then you can say, or this formula is equal to r upon xh plus xl. Relative measures, or you can say coefficient of range, relative range is equal to xh minus xl divided by xh plus xl, or you can say if you have a range, then range xh minus xl, that is range divided by xh plus xl. So here in this chapter you have to find out first 4 measurement, that is range, quartile deviation, mean deviation and standard deviation, that is your absolute measurement. And next point is relative measurement of that particular 4 topic, that is relative range, relative quartile deviation, relative mean deviation and relative standard deviation, or the word is coefficient. See, the word is used into the question, the word is used coefficient of range. It is just like, it is same as relative range. Whatever the word is used, you have to write down only one formula. Relative range or coefficient of range is equal to xh minus xl divided by xh plus xl. Nothing else, just you have to subtract, then add and then divide. Nothing else, right? So here first one, next topic, next paragraph, the relative range is also known as coefficient of range. See, right? Relative range is also known as coefficient of range. It is free from the unit of measurement. See, into the answer you don't have to write any unit. See, into chapter number 3, in last we have to write down measurement, the unit for that particular answer. See, x bar is equal to 30.17 marks, x bar median is equal to 50.80 rupees, right? And mode is equal to 30 kg. That is, unit is used here in the measures of central tendency, but into the measures of dispersion, into first range topic, we don't have to use any unit. Whatever the answer is, that you have to just write that particular answer. Don't take these any rupees, kg, marks, nothing else. You have to just write the answer, nothing else, right? So here there is, see, it is free from the unit of measurement. Observations of the population, that is the values of the observations, are not far from each other. It is very near. But if the coefficient of range is high, then it can be said that variability is more in the observations of the population. That is, the value of the observations are very far from each other. If the range is very small, then it is very nearest values, right? But his range is very big, then you can say all the observations are very far from each other. that is called a range. See, I told you that my range is 70 to 80 percentage, then it is okay. 10 is my range. 10% highest minus lowest, what is my range? 10% is the difference. But if I say that if I am not in mood, then my percentage is 40%, and if I am in mood, then my percentage is 90%. That means what is my range? My range is 50. 90 minus 40. So it is very see, we can say that all the observations, that is 40 and 90, are far from each other. So finding out range is just an absolute measures, right? Okay, so here very easy sums are there, and we'll start our first illustration. I am reading that first illustration. See that the first illustration is the runs scored by a batsman in his last 10 innings of cricket matches are, see, it is ungrouped data is given: 48, 75, 37, 52, 93, 81, 25, 72, 18 and 60. Okay, find the range and the coefficient of range of his run. We have to find out range and coefficient of range of his run, but we don't have to write into the answer. Whatever the answer is there, we don't have to write the runs unit. We don't have to write that particular unit. Why? Because range is free from unit. This measurement, that is range, is free from unit, right? So we don't have to write any runs, kg or marks, everything, right? We just have to write down the answer only. So I am doing that particular sum on the board. See here, first of all, this one is your first formula, this and this, right? Both are important. This is the formula for range and this is the formula for relative range, or you can say coefficient of range. So you have to write this formula into your example book in chapter number 4. Okay. Now see, the observations are given here: 48, illustration number 1, 48, then 75, then 37, 52, 93, 81, 25, 72, 18 and 60. How many observations? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. See, there is no any difference. Whatever observations, whatever number of observations are given, 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, whatever, we don't have need n here, because in the range there is only formula, that is xh minus xl, and the coefficient range xh minus xl divided by xh plus xl. So whatever number of observations is given here, we don't need that. See, means 10 observations are there or whatever, we don't care about that. We just see that which one is your xh, highest value is what? It is 93. And which one is the lowest value? Here it is 18. Right? So 93 and 18 is the highest and lowest value. Now we want what? Range. That is R. That is xh minus xl. What is that? See here, 93 minus 18. So here 75 is your answer. $75 is the range and R is equal to 75, right? Or you can say 75 runs, and the coefficient of range, see here, XH minus XL divided by XH plus XL, or you can say R divided by 93 plus 80. You can say 75 divided by 121. No, 111 is equal to 75 divided by 111, 0.6756. So you can say the approximate answer is 0.68. Coefficient of range is 0.68 and run is that is range is 75. So here your answer is R is equal to 75 runs and your coefficient of range is equal to 0.68, right? Range is here. Range, see, I told you that no units we have to write, but in only coefficient of observations, coefficient of range, coefficient of quartile deviation. In the range, in quartile deviation, we have to write the unit. If the coefficient, that is relative measure, is free from the unit, right? But the regular absolute measurement is not free from the unit. So here we have to write in the range 75 runs are there, but into this coefficient of range we don't have to write runs because 0.68 is a relative measure, it's a coefficient of range. Okay, so here first illustration is complete and you have to write that thus the coefficient of range of the run is 0.68. Okay, so here your first illustration is over. Now see the second one. I am reading that second illustration first. Illustration number 2. From the following information, see, it is very easy, I think so. Just plus or minus, highest, lowest, plus or minus, and you can find out range and then coefficient of range, that is minus, then plus, and then divide. Nothing else. Very easy topic. You can get 2 marks easily, right? From this topic. From the following information of the monthly salary rupees of workers of a factory, find the range and coefficient of range of the salary. See here, monthly salary is given 3,500, 4,000, 5,000, 7,500, 10,000 and 12,000. And again, number of workers 3, 21, 30, 19, 6 and 5 is given, but here we have to find out range. So frequency does not play any role into these measurement. Okay, so whenever we have to find out the range or coefficient of range, then frequency we have to ignore, right? We just have to concentrate only on the observations. What are the observations? 3,500 is the starting observation, that is the lowest observation, and 12,000 is the last one, that is the highest observation. Frequency does not play any role, so ignore that frequency. We just have to concentrate on observations. So here I am writing that so it is very easy for me. I have to just erase this remaining and I can write illustration number 2 here, but you have to write all these things in your book. Okay, so illustration number 2, what is the highest observation? What is your XL, XH? 12,000. See, the highest value of the observations, monthly salary in rupees is 12,000 is the highest, and which one is the lowest? 3,500. Lowest one is 3,500. Okay, so we just have to concentrate only on these 2 observations. Remaining middle observations we have to ignore, as well as all the frequency we have to ignore, right? We need just 2 things from this formula, from this data given, right? So here range is equal to 12,000 minus 3,500. So it is easy. 8,500 is the range, right? So your range is equal to rupees 8,500 is your first answer. And what is your XL? R divided by 12,000 plus 3,500, that is 8,500 divided by 15,500. So just divide that. Zero point 5483. So here you can write that your approximate answer is 0.55. Coefficient of range. Range is 8,500 rupees and the coefficient of range is 0.55. Range of these, thus the range of this salary, worker salary in a factory is rupees 8,500 and the coefficient of range is 0.55. You don't have to write here rupees because here coefficient, that is relative measures, is free from unit. Okay, so your second illustration is also over. Now see, find out the third one by yourself. I am giving you here 2 to 3 minutes for that particular example number 3. Read that third example and then find out range as well as coefficient of range from this example. So this is your right now your homework. Right now you have to do that particular sum by yourself. So please do illustration number 3. I am giving you here 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. Okay, now see, we will discuss our next illustration, that is illustration number 3 here. The items produced in a factory are packed into different boxes according to their weight. Using the following information, find out the range and the relative range of weight of boxes. See here, the coefficient of range word is not used. Here the relative range word is used. See, both are same. Always whenever they ask relative range or coefficient of range, one formula is we have to use, that is XH minus XL upon XH plus XL. Okay, so relative range or coefficient of range both are equal. Now see here, weight is given 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 25, 25 to 30 and 30 to 35. What means of that? See here, the range is given 10 in continuous group data, right? Sorry, the data is given, that is your continuous group data, and the frequency is also given here. But we have to ignore that particular frequency and we just have to concentrate on the continuous group data, first interval plus first low interval class interval and the last high, that is upper class interval. Okay, so here see, I am doing that particular sum here on the board. What is your highest observation? See, 10 to 15, 15 to 20. What is the last class interval? That is 30 to 35. Your highest observation is 35 and your lowest observation is first class 10 to 15. So 10 is your lowest observation. So here in the continuous group data, again we have to ignore the class as well as the frequency. We just have to show that which one is the lowest observation and which one is the highest observation, and we just have to find out the range, that is highest minus lowest. Okay, so here again, what is your range? That is R is equal to XH minus XL, that is 35 minus 10, 25 is your range. And see here, the word relative range is used whenever whatever question in the question you have to ask, you have to write that particular word. If they ask coefficient of range, then you have to write coefficient of range. If they ask relative range, then you have to write the relative range word. Okay, so here I am writing relative range is equal to, what is the formula? XH minus XL upon XH plus XL. So here you can say range upon 35 plus 10 is equal to 25 upon 45. So what is your answer? See the answer here, 25 upon 45. Your range again is 0.5555. Right? So you can say that your relative range will be 0.56 because the third digit is 5. So we have to add 1 to the previous one, that is 56. So you can write the answer, that is range of this data, this continuous group data is 25 kg. See, we have to write the kg into the range, and we don't have to write kg into the relative range, because here the relative range, or we can say relative measurement, is free from unit. Okay, so here 25 kg is your range and relative range is 0.56. Okay, so here your illustration number 3 is over. Now read the illustration number 4. See, I hope you complete that 3 and 4 illustration. Here third illustration is very easy. Now we will discuss next illustration, that is illustration number 4. Find the range and again the coefficient of range of the marks from the following frequency distribution of the marks scored by 50 students of a school in a certain examination. Again, see, in the illustration, exclusive type of data is given, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 25. Right? The data is exclusive type continuous group data. In illustration number 4, the data is inclusive type of continuous data, 50 to 59, 60 to 69, 70 to 79, and so on. And the last one is 90 to 99. See, we have to ignore all these things. See, all these different situations we have to ignore. Here we have to just concentrate only on the lowest observation as well as highest observation. In this data, you can say which one is the lowest observation. It is 50 because the class is start with 50 to 59, and the highest observation is 99. Okay, so here 50 is the XL and 99 is your XH. Okay, so from that we can find out the range as well as the coefficient of range. So what is your range here? What is your XH here? XH is equal to 99, right? And XL is equal to 50. Lowest observation is equal to 50 and the highest observation is equal to 99. So what is your range? Range is equal to R is equal to XH minus XL. So 99 minus 50. So your total is range is 49. What is your range? Range is 49 and 49 marks. You have to write that 49 marks is your range. And what is your relative range? XH minus XL upon XH plus XL, that is here 99. See, XH is equal to 99. So 99 plus XL is equal to 50. So here what is your range? 49 divided by 99 plus 50, that is 149. And what is your answer? See, divide it. 49 divided by 149. So your answer is 0.3289. So your approximate answer is equal to 0.33 because the third digit is 8, which is more than 5. So we have to add 1 to the previous one, and that is your here 0.33 is the relative range, or you can say coefficient of range. See here we have to write here coefficient of range because the word asked into the question is coefficient of range. So we have to write that particular word. Coefficient of range is equal to coefficient of range is equal to 0.33 and the range is equal to 49 marks. Okay, so here I can say that here all four illustration are very easy. You can get easily 2 marks from any of these, right? And now advantages and disadvantages of range, that is the important theory. You just have to read that theory because we will discuss that theory into our regular lecture. So I am right now skipping that theory. Now here your homework. What is your homework? Exercise 4.1 is your homework. See that into exercise 4.1. First question is ungroup data and you have to find out XH minus XL, that is you have to find out range and coefficient of range of height. Second is discrete group data. Again, smallest observation, that is 2, and the highest observation, that is 37. You have to find out from that range and coefficient of range, and we have to ignore the frequency. Into question number 2, exercise 4.1. Again, in exercise 4.1, question number 3 and 4, both are the examples of continuous group data. Third is exclusive continuous group data, and fourth one is inclusive continuous group data, right? But here we don't have to see that, we just have to see what is the XH and what is the XL, lowest value of observations and highest value of the observations. Ignore the continuous, discrete or group data, as well as ignore all the frequency. Okay, so here your first topic of chapter number 4, that is range, is over, and your homework, see I am writing your homework here. Your homework is equal to, you have to write exercise 4.1 full into your exercise book. Into your example book you have to write, 1 to 4 example, as well as into your exercise book you have to write exercise 4.1 full. Okay, so here I am complete my lecture. Thank you class.